with the driving force being the southern states that you mentioned. We went up to 70,000, and now we're coming down maybe to 60, 59, 60, 64. I think we're seeing a stabilization of cases in those southern states, which is looking like it might be a stabilization where we peaked at 70,000 new cases, and now we're going to maybe hopefully come down to 60, 50. But that's still a high level. That's not essentially the baseline that we're seeing in the Asian countries and in Europe. The other thing that's troubling to me and to Dr. Birx, who's my colleague on the task force, is that we're starting to see in Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, that inkling of a percent increase of cases that are positive. So, if soon as you see the percent of the total number of tests that you do are positive and it goes increases, that's a warning sign that you might be seeing a surge. So on the governor's call this afternoon, and in our task force meeting this afternoon, we discussed the importance of the states that are starting to see the very early upticks. We're not talking about the states that have already experienced the surge. We're talking about the states that are starting to see a little bit curve upward. They've really got to jump all over that, because if they don't, then you might see the surge that we saw in some of the other southern states. So although I am somewhat comforted by the plateauing that we are starting to see in some of those states, I'm concerned about some of the other adjacent states that might be looking like they're starting to blip a little bit higher than I want them to. Please, there are certain fundamentals, almost like the staples of what you need to do. And they are 4 or 5, and I named them, as did Dr. Birx. So it wasn't just me being an outliner. Dr. Birx was saying the same thing, that one is universal wearing of masks, avoid crowds and congregations of people, stay physically distant, 10 feet, close the bars. That's where a lot of the transmission takes place, and practice personal hygiene like washing your hands. Those are 5 things that anybody could do. And I believe if they do that, they will prevent the resurgence that we've seen in some of the other southern states.